The students return to the cruise ship, only to find the vacation isn't over yet. Well, it hasn't really started, and apparently there's a second special test to be held on the ship itself. The students are put into groups named after the planets, 8 groups of 14, with 3 students from both classes A and B, and 4 from C and D. The test takes place over 3 days. On the first, 1 student per group is chosen to be the VIP. The groups meet twice a day to discuss who that is and how to proceed. There are 4 possible cases regarding the test. Case 1. Every student receives 500,000 private points if everyone who isn't in the VIP's class guesses correctly, netting the VIP a 500,000 point bonus. Case 2. If anyone guesses wrong, excluding the VIP's classmates, the VIP receives 500,000 points. If the VIP is exposed, the 2 final cases still apply. Case 3. If someone guesses the right answer, they receive 500,000 points and their class gets 50, unless the student is in the VIP's class, in which case the test continues. Case 4. If the wrong answer is sent, the class loses 50 points, while the VIP receives 500,000 along with their class receiving 50. On the first day, Ayanokoji and Suzune show each other their email confirming that neither is a VIP. Ryuen appears and interrogates Suzune, still believing she's the mastermind of Class D. After denying that she's a VIP, he threatens Class D, boasting that he'll figure out the identity of every VIP. A war almost breaks out during the first meeting of Team Mars, Ayanokoji's team. Trying to come to an agreement, the idea of aiming for Case 1 is floated. But Class A refuses to engage with the others, vowing to stay silent the entire time. After the meeting, Ayanokoji overhears 3 students from Class C harassing K, accusing her of getting into an altercation with their classmate and demanding an apology. Defending herself, K denies it, claiming she has no idea what they're talking about. Obviously shaken by the confrontation, later that evening, she breaks down in the shower. Ayanokoji meets with his classmates about the identity of a VIP, but before they can make a game plan, Koenji correctly guesses the Saturn Group's VIP. Although the others think it was premature speculation, Koenji continues his streak of getting off early and finishing first to get the max vacation time. That evening, Ayanokoji asks Suzune about Kei and whether they could use her status in Class D to their advantage when Ryuen appears. Apparently, he already has the game in the bag, along with his classmates' cell phones. Despite going against the rules, with them, he's able to check who's received the VIP email. Suzune turns down his offer to unite the other 3 classes against Class A, disgusted by his creepy demeanor. On his way back to his cabin, Ayanokoji notices Kei, distraught, begging Hirata to protect her from Shijou and the other bullies from Class C. He agrees, suggesting she simply apologizes, and reiterates that they are only dating for appearances, a purely transactional relationship. This only frustrates Kei, who breaks off their fake relationship, accusing Hirata of not caring about her. Ayanokoji approaches Hirata, who confirms his suspicions of Kei's history of being a bullying victim after she storms off. After 4 more deadlocked twice-daily meetings, the 3 girls who were bullying Kei trail her, closely followed by Ayanokoji and Yukimura. The girls confront Kei with her back against the wall, refusing to let up, while Ayanokoji refuses to get involved. When they begin to get physical, pushing Kei over the edge, Yukimura tries to help, only to find himself on the receiving end of Kei's frustration, as Ayanokoji observes. On the 3rd day, Shijou and her lackeys bring Rika, luring Kei to a quiet area of the ship. Kei has a panic attack. Shijou figures she must have been bullied before and coerces Rika into hitting her repeatedly as Ayanokoji watches from the shadows, obviously having knowledge of the meeting. He approaches Kei while she breaks down after the girls leave and uses her helplessness to his advantage. When he discovers a cut on her chest, he promises to protect her in exchange for helping him unify Class D to win the exam. Before the final meeting, Honami and Ayanokoji discuss making it to Class A, even though they are in separate classes. Honami reveals that they can both make it, with points of course. Just a measly 20 million will do. Ayanokoji admits that he saw her total while handling her phone. During the final meeting, it's decided that everyone shows the email they received to prove they aren't the VIP. Even with the chance of someone submitting their guess first, everyone complies one by one until Yukimura hesitates, stunning everyone when he confesses to being the VIP, begging them to keep quiet until the test is through. Honami doesn't buy it and calls Ayanokoji's number, revealing that he switched phones with Yukimura, implying he's the VIP, more like the MVP. Kei and Ayanokoji discuss the real plan. After determining Kei was the VIP, he offers that they exchange not just phones, but SIM cards too, which he obtained from Sai. Ayanokoji then switches Kei's phone with Yukimura's. Honami explains that she was aware of their plot, but chose not to share it owing to their connection with Class D. Ryuin appears, revealing a Class D student falsely claimed that Kikyo was one of the VIPs, departing after threatening Suzune and Class D once again. It turns out the VIPs were picked based on the place of their names in hiragana script and the VIP's associated planet group, which, once understood, allowed Class C to figure out the VIPs' identities. Back at school, the next test is a 13-event sports festival, themed Team Red versus Team White. Team Red, Classes A and D, versus Team White, Classes B and C. The festival offers numerous benefits. The top 3 placements get 1,000 points or bonuses on their written test. And drawbacks. The worst 10 placements are penalized on their written exam. Classes choose who participates in the activities. Ayanokoji and Suzune explain how the sports festival differs from the previous 2 special examinations due to intense preparation. Suzune wants to cheat, while Ayanokoji feels they can win through regular means. Later, the class decides on selecting participants based on talent or volunteering. Suzune recommends pairing stronger and weaker students to win the events, at the risk of the weaker students losing out on merit. Suzune's proposition does not sit well with Kei. She refutes the notion and points out that Suzune looks down on everyone and can't unify the class with such an attitude. Kei seeks Kikyo's advice, who suggests combining both views, and the class agrees. But Suzune just enrages the class by labeling them incompetent. Hirata reconciles by polling the class on who had the better concept, siding with Kei. Later, Kei and Ayanokoji talk about how he told her to oppose Suzune's plans and acquire Kikyo's perspective. He predicts there's a traitor in Class D, but refuses to elaborate. The class prepares for the festival, and Suzune quarrels with the student, still upset about losing the vote. Ayanokoji wonders why she can't compromise. He deduces from a 3-legged race that she refuses to acknowledge her own weaknesses and projects her disappointment on others. Ayanokoji tells Suzune he believes Kikyo is the one betraying the class. He invites her to spy on Team White, where Suzune openly wonders if Kikyo sold information, which she denies. The sports festival gets underway, while Sudo inspires Class D to keep morale high. Ryuin beats down Sudo in the top of the pole event, causing Team Red to lose. Matters worsen when Suzune gets hurt, after colliding with another student from Class C. Kei and Ayanokoji suspect the Class D traitor revealed the participation list to Ryuin for Sudo and Suzune to be targeted. Ayanokoji goes on to say that he never intended for the class to win the festival, and that doing nothing is the best course of action. Sudo is so upset at being targeted that he hits Hirata and then flees, severely decreasing class morale. Ayanokoji instructs Suzune to be useful in persuading Sudo to rejoin and use him as her own weapon, just as he uses her. During a short break, Kei and Hirata ask Ayanokoji who the traitor is, to which he responds that submitting the leaked list was Suzune's idea. Kikyo convinces Suzune to go to the doctor, where Ryuin awaits. He accuses Suzune of intentionally hurting his classmate and demands 1 million private points for his silence. Suzune thinks it's a bluff, but Ryuin demands the points and for Suzune to grovel, giving her until the end of the festival. Suzune runs into her brother in the hall, admitting that she's aware of her inadequacies and will no longer bother him. While Suzune attempts to get Pseudo back, he reveals that he only attended the festival to prove to the class that he isn't useless after all. Suzune insists that he shouldn't give up because it would only prove them right. Meanwhile, before the break ends, Ayanokoji confronts Kikyo about being the traitor. She disputes the claim and speculates why Ayanokoji didn't update the list if he was aware she had leaked it, which she believes would have caused interclass confusion. She finally admits that she leaked the list and sold her VIP knowledge to Ryuin to see Suzune and Ayanokoji expelled. Suzune attempts to persuade Pseudo again, pointing out how they both crave recognition from others. She admits to seeking her brother's approval, isolating herself from others. Following her experiences with Class D, she learns that she can't fight alone and needs friends, to which Pseudo succumbs, realizing they're more alike than he thought. Pseudo returns to the festival and apologizes for his behavior, but due to injuries, Suzune and another student withdraw from the final event, so Kikyo and Ayanokoji step in. Manabu and Ayanokoji discuss the future of Class D before the last event, a relay race, and the latter indulges the former in a race to discover more about him. Manabu waits, despite being in the lead. As soon as Ayanokoji's baton touches his hand, they both take off, leaving the school in shock when he almost beats the student council president. Suzune meets with Ryuin to give her response, with Kikyo present. Suzune confronts her about being a traitor and tells her to drop the innocent act. Kikyo agrees and then confesses her plan to eject Suzune by any means necessary and eliminate those who know about her past. Ryuin admits that he had Kikyo supply the list and told Kinoshita to injure Suzune, then pretend to be gravely wounded. Suzune refuses to be blackmailed, revealing she's been recording the whole conversation, but so has Ryuin. Suddenly, he receives an anonymous email containing a tape of him urging Kinoshita to hurt Suzune. He compliments Suzune and Class D's mastermind for predicting their every move, backing off for now. After Manabu announces his resignation as president of the student council, Sato timidly asks Ayanokoji for his phone number, implying she has a crush on him. Despite finishing last in the festival, none of the students were expelled. Much to Ms. Chabashita's delight, it's the first time she hasn't lost a student. She informs the students about the next special test, which will function as their final exam, paper shuffle. 2 students will be teamed together and must earn more than 60 points, as a pair, even if student X scores 0 and student Y scores 60, or both will be expelled. A mini-test will be used to select the pairs, and there is a point threshold for the total points from all topics. Each class will create exam questions, which will be answered by one of the other 3 classes. The class that created the questions can request other classes do the test, and a lottery will be held if there's a duplicate request. The requestee and the requester will compete, and the class with the greater score will steal 50 class points from the other. Cheating will result in immediate expulsion. Suzune reveals that Kikyo went to the same middle school. Rumor has it that a single female student, whom Suzune suspects is Kikyo, was the trigger to an event that all but destroyed the class. Ayanokoji advises her to expel Kikyo, but Suzune feels she can turn her into an ally. Meanwhile, Ryuin threatens his class, trying to weed out their class spy, Shijou. He decides against it when he learns that she was just being played by the mastermind. Ayanokoji and Suzune join the others to construct a strategy in which some students purposely fail the mini-test, allowing the highest scorers to be matched with the lowest scorers. Later that night, Kei and Ayanokoji discuss the circumstances behind Sato's invitation, and he swears to defend Kei no matter what. The students agree to Suzune's plan for the mini-test the next day. Of course, Ayanokoji gets partnered with Sato for paper shuffle. The students in Yukimura's study session push Ayanokoji to quit holding back given his performance at the festival. Ayanokoji suggests preparing for any nasty tactics the classes devise for the test, adding that the school may have a mechanism in place to mediate questions. Ayanokoji shares the knowledge with Suzune later that day, As the two contemplate keeping an eye on Kikyo, Ayanokoji receives an email from Ryuin inquiring as to who the genius behind Class D is. Suzune meets with Kikyo alone. The two wager on the paper shuffle math exam. If Suzune scores higher, Kikyo will stop bothering her. If Kikyo wins, Suzune gets expelled. Suzune has her brother witness the arrangement to confirm that it's a legitimate bet. Kikyo figures Ayanokoji is listening in on the conversation and invites him to meet. At the rendezvous, Kikyo adds another condition. If she wins, Ayanokoji will be expelled as well. He accepts, but wants to know about Kikyo's background, since she already suspects he and Suzune know. Kikyo was hailed as a top achiever, so much so that she wanted praise and attention, which eventually stopped. To retain everyone's attention, she became the kindest, friendliest, and most compassionate person possible in order for people to rely on her and earn everyone's confidence. Despite her best efforts, this took its toll on her mental health. To relieve her anxiety, she started a personal blog where she gossiped about her classmates. Her friends discovered the blog and rejected her. Exhausted from putting on a front, she divulged every nasty secret, turning the class against itself. She hints that she has dirt on some of the students from Class D. Being complimented and understanding the filthy realities about others excite her enough to consider desperate measures. A monster born of the hunger for attention. Ryuin learns about Kikyo's wager. In exchange for their expulsion, Kikyo would allow Class C to win paper shuffle. Later, Ryuin interrupts Ayanokoji's study session and questions vaguely about the email to find the Class D genius. Feeling at ease with the study group, Haruka chooses to form a buddy group with Akito, Ayanokoji, and Yukimura, who requests to be renamed Keisei, and Aidi also joins the group, dubbed the Ayanokoji group. Later that night, Ayanokoji contacts Kei and asks her to take a key role in paper shuffle. The next day, Kei calls Kikyo out for attempting to push everyone and not caring when someone fails. After spilling a drink on her uniform, Kei apologizes and insists on paying for it to be cleaned. Kikyo offers to submit the exam questions and requests Ms. Chabashida delete any additional copies from Class D. Subsequently, Kikyo provides the questions to Ryuin in accordance with their agreement. The big day arrives, and Kikyo is baffled when she gets to the math section. Kikyo loses it on Ryuin for not keeping his end of the bargain, but he figures that Suzune saw through it all. It turns out that Suzune requested that Ms. Chabashida accept questions only from her and dismiss all others. Ryuin discovers a cheat sheet on her uniform, implying that he betrayed Kikyo by giving his class's copy to the Class D mastermind. Kikyo agrees to fulfill her share of the bargain, but threatens Ayanokoji. She never promised to leave him alone. Ryuin is even more determined to find the mastermind after being thwarted at every turn. He targets Kei to lure them out of hiding. The next day, several Class D students are agitated by Class C. Suzune observes that Ryuin is doing this to exploit the mastermind. Ayanokoji is led to a reception area where his father, whom he hasn't seen in over a year and a half, awaits. His father claims that their butler killed himself after being sacked for assisting Ayanokoji in applying for school. Ayanokoji left his family to pursue his dreams and live independently, something his father forbids. To make matters worse, he wants Ayanokoji to sign the school withdrawal form and return to the White Room. Just then, Mr. Sakayanagi, the school's chairman, intervenes, stating that Ayanokoji was enrolled in the school on his recommendation and that no one has the authority to forcefully withdraw a student, prompting his father to back down. Afterwards, Ayanokoji confronts Ms. Chabashida for using him to get to Class A. She lied about knowing his father. Later that night, Ayanokoji apologizes to Kei for manipulating her and states that he will abandon his ambition to advance from Class D to Class A, leaving that to Suzune and Hirata, and concludes the chat by claiming that this will be their final conversation. Ryuin intrudes on Class D, causing Koenji to leave. Ryuin and his lackeys follow. More Class C students confront Koenji in the courtyard as Ryuin begins provoking him by damaging Koenji's things. Arisu and other Class A officers arrive to see the brawl. Koenji deduces that Ryuin is looking for the Class D mastermind and attempts to defuse the situation by declaring that he's uninterested in the interclass battle and does whatever he wants. Ryuin calms down, but Arisu starts taunting him. As everyone departs, Ryuin threatens Suzune and Class D and proclaims that his hunt for the mastermind is almost over. Ryuin outlines his strategy to catch the mastermind using Kei as bait. He entices her to a secluded site, tying her up. He pressures her to uncover the mastermind or expose her previous bullying in order to damage her reputation. Kei continues to defend Ayanokoji and argues for Ryuin to let her go, since it proves his vulnerability in exploiting people to achieve his goal. Ryuin begins tormenting her upon hearing this, but Kei keeps her cool, claiming that there is no mastermind. Meanwhile, Ayanokoji agrees to attend karaoke with his new pals. Ryuin tortures Kei further, claiming that the mastermind set Kei up during the special test on the ship when she was lured to where Shijou and Rika bullied her. Ayanokoji abandons the karaoke idea and instead approaches Miss Chabashida, pleading with her to stop Ryuin from injuring Kei for Class D to advance. She agrees when Ayanokoji enlists Manabu's assistance in eliminating Ryuin in exchange for Suzune entering the student council. Ayanokoji finally comes to Kei's aid, exposing himself as the mastermind. Ryuin threatens Ayanokoji with physical harm and orders his subordinates to attack. Ayanokoji quickly disposes of his lackeys, surprising both Ryuin and Kei. He declares that he orchestrated the entire conflict, duping Ryuin. Upon hearing this, Ibuki takes a shot at Ayanokoji, but is knocked out. Ryuin and Ayanokoji engage in a full-fledged battle as they tease each other about who will win. Ayanokoji, deadpan and unflinching, calmly says he's already won. Ryuin's whole ideology is based on the idea that violence is genuine power, continuing his assault. Ayanokoji responds by claiming he doesn't feel anything. When he gains control, he viciously beats Ryuin's face, instilling terror, despite Ryuin insisting that he's never felt fear. Ayanokoji rushes to console Kei, reiterating his promise to save her no matter what. Everything went according to his plan. Now, she needs him even more. Ryuin reconsiders his decisions after losing to Ayanokoji, which Ibuki dislikes because he's become submissive. Kei is taken aback by the fact that her feelings for Ayanokoji have gotten stronger. Sato tells Kei that she's confessing her feelings to Ayanokoji in 2 days, on Christmas, much to Kei's confusion given her feelings for him, only becoming more confused after he calls asking about Sato's interests later that night. The next day, Ayanokoji informs Suzune that her brother wants her to join the student council and feels it would help her overall. Later that day, Ayanokoji and Ryuin meet and discuss how he saved him by accepting responsibility for the gymnasium kidnapping. Ayanokoji predicts that Class D will reach Class C, only to be downgraded after reaching his goal to expel Kikyo the following term. Ayanokoji and Sato meet on Christmas Day, with Kei and Hirata joining them as a double date. When Kei and Hirata leave, Sato confesses to Ayanokoji, who rejects her, since he has never had feelings for anybody. Kei watches from the bushes and asks if he sees everyone as tools. He neither confirms nor denies it. She offers him a gift, which Ayanokoji reciprocates by giving her cold medicine. As the two walk back, he calls her by her given name for the first time and wonders whether he'll ever stop thinking of others as pawns. As Kei and Ayanokoji part ways, Arisu pursues him and explains that she knows him from the White Room and that she intends to take him down. He'd like to see her try. Thank you for sticking until the end. Subscribe for more videos like this.